Good morning, everybody. Welcome and thank you for being here. Welcome to the Angeles documentaries. This is my first time hosting for them. I've been invited to do so. I'm very happy to do it. I am a documentary filmmaker myself. I have one that's going to be released later this year. So they invited me to host a Q&A for this film festival. And they give me a wild card, like you can have a guest, you can invite anybody you want to talk with the filmmakers of this edition. So I had the chance to discuss with a guy named Michael Monaco, who made a documentary about country music superstar Luke Bryan. He made a 5-episode docuseries for Amazon, Luke Bryan, My Dirt Road Diary. And that was an amazing dive into Luke Bryan's world, work, family, everything that happened to him in his life, and it was made with taste. It was very well produced, very well edited. So I just texted Michael and I said, "Hey, I'm doing this. I've been invited to do that Q&A. Do you want to join me?" And he said yes. So Michael is right here with me. Michael, welcome. How are you?
What's up, dude? Thank you. I'm good. Thank you for
So
having me.
I'm very happy to have the chance to meet you face to face, quote unquote, because we've been chatting on and off for a while. You helped me. I picked your brain for my own documentary when I was in the midst of producing it and just looking for solutions. You gave me very good feedback. So when I got invited to do this Q&A for this film festival, I said, this is the guy I would like to talk to. And I believe you're going to be able to share very good tips with the filmmakers that are going to join us. And we have today Frances and we have Andrew. Guys, how are you?
Good. Great. Thanks for
So,
having us.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
do that. So this is a place, this is a moment to chat and to find common ground, if I may. That means Michael has that documentary on Amazon. So he went through the whole process of creating it, filming. Sometimes you don't know what you're filming for, and then a few years later, it becomes a docuseries on Amazon. So the idea, you guys have documentaries. You've won or you've been selected to the Angeles documentaries. So the idea is to share experiences and see what can I learn, what's the next step for me, how can I get my documentary on more screens, and how can I do that? Michael, in your words, can you tell us a little bit of your background?
So I'm sure like you guys grew up loving cameras as a little kid. Obviously flash forward, once I got into high school, I knew that I wanted to direct country music videos. I had moved to LA and from Ohio, got super homesick and fell in love with watching CMT and watching country music videos. So that was always my drive from pretty much 14 on. But once I got into college, I used to shoot a lot of weddings, and I think weddings are the greatest way to become a filmmaker, especially a documentary filmmaker. I think it's so important because you have to tell a story. Most importantly, the story is always most important. And then you have to learn how to light, use natural lighting, get your camera set up, audio, be in chaos. I mean, it is the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest way to be prepared. And for me, I was prepared in college because I shot a ton of weddings out in LA. When I was a junior in college, I got the greatest opportunity of my life to intern at the Academy of Country Music. So for me, that was a big dream because I was in LA. I always wanted to move to Nashville, but I was able to intern and work in country music out there. So the ACMs do the Country Music Awards. And I was telling Matt, I don't know if you guys heard, I got the opportunity to go to Afghanistan with Toby Keith. He bought me my first camera. I got a Sony Z5U. And I think that was actually before DSLRs came out. I don't even think DSLRs were out yet. But then I was able to go shoot a bunch of weddings and then go buy the 5D and buy lenses. I used to rent it out on Craigslist because no one had 5Ds back then. I made a killing doing that. And then flash forward, I ended up working for the ACMs for about 6 years, but I knew I wanted to leave LA and go to Nashville. So I had met a lot of people in my job there. You always have to network, I'm sure you guys know. And I got connected with Luke Bryan. Before he was big, he was maybe 1 or 2 songs out, and he needed a guy. His merch guy was taking photos and taking videos. and no one else at the time had content except for Lady Antebellum. It was before content was a thing, but they started doing these videos on YouTube. So anyways, I got hired by Luke to go on road with him, and that was a huge dream come true. I literally just left LA and came to Nashville, and I was just hired to do YouTube videos once a week, but I saw the opportunity to do a documentary because I was like, man, I didn't even know both his brother and his sister passed away, and like all these like crazy things that I'm learning like the first week, because I didn't know much about him. I just got on the bus and people are telling me stuff, and I was like, holy shoot. And what a great guy he was. And just like, my mind, I was like, I want to do a documentary, because that was always my dream. I grew up as a kid watching all the NBA documentaries. I just loved over making movies. I just loved documentaries. That was what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I saw the opportunity being, I have a really good subject that I have access to. If I could work just a little harder, and go beyond what they're asking me to do, I can maybe come up with a documentary. Flash forward, it was 10 years of me thinking that, and it finally happened. So for me, the point of the story was, work hard in something, believe in it. Because for 8-9 years, the answer was no, we're not doing a documentary kind of thing. Like, he was so busy that it was a reality in my brain, but it wasn't a reality in anyone else's brain.
Yeah, it took time.
But then after I showed him stuff, and got people believing, that's when the ball got rolling on us getting it out there for the people and for the fans to see. And that was a huge learning experience as well. But I own a production company in Nashville. I started that about 2 years after working for Luke. My best friend dropped out of corporate America, came to Nashville, and we started a company. So I direct a lot of country music videos. That's, my dream. We do a lot of stuff, big scope of stuff. So that's what I do. I'm off the road. I don't tour with Luke anymore. Once I have 3 kids now, so I'm home with my family. But I still work with him, and he's still one of my best friends. I live 4 minutes from him. But I'm in the studio now with an artist that is an iconic artist, in my opinion, and he hasn't had music come out in a long time. And they're just wanting me to film, but I'm like, in my head, I've got a lot going on in my head that I'm like, we're gonna do documentary. We're gonna aim big, and I haven't even discussed that with them, but I'm putting it in the universe, and it's gonna become a reality. And the only way for me to make it a reality is to really wow people, because you can tell them ideas, but the best way to convince them is like show them a scene, show them something.
Show them a short reel, a sizzle, an edit, and it's going to make them realize how good it could be. Let's go to Francis. Tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about the documentary that got you here.
Sure. Well, it's good to be here among you fellas. Congratulations, Michael, on your success. That's awesome. I'm originally from Tennessee.
Oh, cool.
And my executive producer is in Nashville and has some experience in the country music business, and so it's cool. It's a really nice, vital place to be.
Yeah.
So I for this festival, my film Final Fight When the Trauma of War Comes Home is why I'm here, and it's a piece about how the government military kind of buried the connection between brain trauma and PTS, and goes a long way in explaining, the tragic suicide epidemic among veterans. So I have a tendency to do social impact stuff, although I have another film on PBS coming out this year on a really historic archaeological dig. I come out of journalism, so I'm heavy in that bent. I think I have a question for Michael. Or should we go on to Andrew first?
We're gonna go to Andrew. Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
so we can know a little bit about him. I appreciate that. Andrew, that's your turn.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Thanks, Michael, for being here. And again, I appreciate the invitation. My name's Andrew Wright. I live in Washington State, up here in the Pacific Northwest. Up here, we have a lot of native tribes up here that go to battle for their salmon rights. So my documentary, Kings of Gorse Creek, just snuck in underneath the very short documentary time limit at 9 minutes and 57 seconds. At the under 10, so just made it there. But Kings of Gorse Creek kind of explores the Suquamish tribe's gillnet fishery and their salmon hatchery program. So essentially what the moral of the story is, there's a lot of people out here that are upset that tribes are able to use gill nets. As a recreational fisherman, I used to be upset about this until I heard this story. So the Suquamish tribe, they actually raise their own hatchery salmon. They release them out into the Sinclair Inlet. They go all the way out through the Puget Sound, out into the Pacific Ocean, and then they come back full-size grown adults. And it's after the seals eat, after the orcas eat, and after non-tribal fishermen like me catch some, that's when the Suquamish tribe is able to use their gill nets to harvest the remaining salmon. So it's a really unique story for the Pacific Northwest specifically. I find myself doing a lot of tribal stories. One of the next projects I'm still trying to get access to is with the Macaw tribe, and they're the tribe that does the whale hunting up in Nia Bay. So that was something that was really controversial back in the 90s when I was growing up here, and I think it's a very important story, and hopefully they finally approve that project.
Pretty cool. We have two very different documentaries, but both of you guys' documentaries, when you watch them, you learn stuff and you get involved, invited in a world that you think you know about, and you actually don't really know about it. And that's what I like about documentaries. Let's go right into it. Frances, you had a question. Let's go with the questions.
Yeah, Michael. So congratulations on getting the show on Luke done.
Thank you.
Super cool. Can you describe the kind of process of the distribution? Did the label help you? How did the funding come about with Amazon, or who, I don't know if you're at liberty to say who funded it, but how did the business side of it come about?
Yeah.
So distribution and the financial structure.
Yeah. So, for me, it was definitely a learning curve, because once I had, like Luke and his manager on board, we're like, all right, now what do we do, kind of thing.
Right.
So we were looking at, I think I told Matt, we were looking at like hiring companies in LA or London to make us trailers, like how do you, and so let me flash back. I had a documentary idea, but we weren't shooting a documentary. So, I edited this project. I mean, it took me 9 years, and at the time Luke was blowing up and he was so busy. So it wasn't something that he had time to like focus on. So I had to catch what I could get. So basically Luke gave me his blessing to go film a documentary. I was very close with him. I lived on his bus. I had access to him if I needed something. And he's like, I gave him my blessing. So I was close with his family. So me and my best friend and a couple other good buddies of mine, we would just drive down to his hometown, and he gave us the blessing to do so. We'd stay at his dad's hunting cabin, and we would just go with a van of stuff, and we just believed in this idea. So we didn't have any costs. Our costs were like, gas and paying a couple guys that we had. So me and my business partner, we just believed in this idea. It was a labor of love. And that's the cool thing about documentaries. I've directed like some big projects, like where people are like, you're the director, you're so young. I'm like, I don't know how I'm getting to do this. I'm getting to do this because Luke's giving me the opportunity, not because I'm qualified. And I've been very blessed to do a lot of projects, but I'm not the greatest. I'm not even like that creative. Like, you guys probably do circles around me, but what I had was like access to a topic and someone that was like, and just kind of believed in an idea. So
there was no financial structure ahead of the production, because it was really having access to Luke, him blowing up on the music scene, and just documenting what was happening.
Yeah, there was no plan. So no one said, we're going to hire you to go do a documentary. Like, I've been in scenarios and I've done stuff where I have been hired to do it. But this was like, came up with a project that I call I don't know. It was like, I had like 20 some episodes. Like it was so long that people were bored. Like I was showing him over Christmas. He's like, all right, I got to go. This is so boring. It was 5 hours long. I mean, But in my mind, I'm like, I love it. I'm close to it. But so basically we had a very long edit, and I had scenes that were more tuned in that I could show people and get real big emotion and reaction. And that's what helped me sell it. But so then I had a 20-hour edit, literally, that was way too long, and there was no story arc. So like you have to have a reason for something. I can't just tell the biography of Luke Bryan. There has to be like some reason for the film. So there was parts where it was lagging. I had a ton of like note cards, like Luke talking about this. Like I didn't even have Luke's interview for the first like 5 years, literally. So I had like 15 other people, and then I had place cards for him. And then I finally got his interview. And then I still didn't have things. Like I had a wish list of things I wanted to do. I didn't have a lot of like not cooperation in the sense like he didn't cooperate. I just didn't have like, we weren't filming a documentary. So these ideas that I would have had, or people would have, like filming phone calls and filming this and that, like I didn't have that. I just had what I can get kind of thing. So, but I had
I've been through the exact same thing, documenting what was happening without the management of the artist, including the filming of the documentary into the schedule of the artist. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like, I mean, I just captured what I could get. Yeah. And I just made sure if we were going to a radio station that I was getting clean audio and I was filming for like a scene, but like I missed a lot. There was things I'm like, dang it, I wish someone told me. I would have loved to film that, you know? But like that was just I'm just an afterthought in a sense. Like, so I just knew that I had to really, I didn't want to have other people. I didn't want to have a studio and people behind me. I didn't want other people's opinion. Honestly, I just wanted to do my thing. So I wanted to keep control. Like this is my passion project. This was my gift to Luke and his family. I didn't want someone helping me that just didn't know him. And I just didn't want to approach it that way. I wanted to be an independent filmmaker, and that was it. So we got it to a place where Luke was like, hell yeah, this is sick. Let's do this. And then we got his agent to start making phone calls. And that's the thing. It's tough because I was in a situation where like I could go to the heads of Netflix, like not me, but like people that the artist I'm working for has people to kind of get there. Yeah. So I think they just went only to Amazon. I'm not really sure. Maybe they went to other places, but they kind of just took it in there. Where if I was making a documentary about Luke and I didn't know Luke, I'd have probably an impossible way to try to. So you'd have to put it in festivals. You'd have to, I had like an upper hand in that sense, where it's hard to like give. But to me, aside from like the distribution being a little easier, was like I just believe if you believe in something and you believe, like it sounds like both projects you guys did is something you guys believe in, and that's amazing. Like that's what I want to do too. Like I want to go do nature documentaries and things like that. I don't want to deal with people on my next one.
Which brings us to Andrew. Andrew, do you have a question?
I think if it's something as long as you have the passion for it and you work towards it, it's going to be great. And I think people sometimes don't want to see the obstacles of like, if someone told me this documentary is going to take you 10 years, I'm dumb enough and stupid enough and naive enough to like, all right, cool, let's do it. But like most people were like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put that much work in. Like I can't describe to you how much work it was, not only making it, fighting for it, an uphill battle. It wasn't, I mean, I joke, I say it was easy in distribution because his agent just brought it to someone, but like, it wasn't that easy. Like it took 9 years for that to happen, and it was really hard, but like, I'm proud of, if it would have happened 3 years in, it would have been a different film. It wouldn't have happened the way it was supposed to. And I think bottom of the line is put things in the universe that you want and just believe in it. And one day you'll wake up and it'll be there and it'll be a reality no matter what you're doing.
Andrew.
Yeah, that's great advice, Michael. One of my thoughts with what you're just saying is if you try to do a documentary without having that relationship with Luke, I mean, it's not the same film because you don't have the childhood videos. I mean, they had an incredible archive of his youth. I was able to watch a couple episodes last night in preparation, and I think your relationship with Luke is what made that film, that series rather, what it is.
Right.
I couldn't imagine what was the process like, because I primarily work as a freelance editor What was
Okay.
your project like? What was it like to go from 20 hours to it's a 5 1 hour episodes?
They're like 30 minutes, 25
Okay.
minutes. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, like I like the shot that is used for like the image is like Luke and he's not even wearing, he's wearing boxers, and he's like and they photoshopped the shirt on him, and it was just him in the morning plucking a guitar and drinking coffee in his underwear and talking to Caleb, our bus driver, and it was the most real moment. And that is true. Like I did have like access that like other people weren't. Like I'm in a studio right now with a guy that I just met 3 days ago. Like I wouldn't be able to get that kind of stuff from him, you know?
Different relationship.
So yeah, that was a huge blessing. So like, I just think, yeah, for sure. Things work out the way they're supposed to. But yeah, so once I had 20 episodes, Amazon got involved, and I had a team with Amazon, and we went through and we kind of were like, all right, we got to go film. We need something else to film. We need to have a modern day like parallel. So we did, and like also fill in your blanks, like your title cards that say like Luke saying this. So we had like an afternoon with Luke at his house, and we went with like a small crew and kind of did that. We didn't get as much as like I liked. We didn't get as many days of that as I like to. I think we only did like 1 or 2 maybe, but he was doing American Idol and touring, and he's very busy. So I'm thankful for what we did get, but it was probably a year of them working with Amazon of like, we had like how many episodes are we doing? Like it kept changing. We had, I mean, probably another round of like 7 rounds of like episodes, like totally different episodes, because we were lacking like that modern day, like what's the reason for telling the story kind of thing. So, like the scene that sold the whole project, that was like the most emotional scene, that didn't even make the series. Like the whole thing that I showed people never even made it. Like there's so much in there, and I think we could do more. We'd have to go out and film more, but like so much of it didn't even make it. That was, I thought, great. But like, you're like, doesn't make sense to have 3 award shows, and like it was tough. Like,
Yeah.
there was a lot of obstacles in that sense, because I'm all about pre-production, and I'm all about like knowing the reason and like what's the story. Story always comes first to me, aside from making cool shots. So you can only have so many cool shots before like they're like, what's the story? And I didn't have I had pre-production, but like I lacked like the aspect of that. We just kind of winged it in the sense like, oh, Luke's in his underwear in the front of the bus, I'm gonna go film that, as opposed to like me drafting something up like that up and us doing it. But it all worked out, I think.
Yeah, I think it did. It's a really cool piece. Even if everything that's not in there, we don't. We just take the documentary for what it is, and we just enjoy that glimpse into his life and his work. Francis, you have another question?
Yeah, and unfortunately, I learned this morning that my elderly mom got admitted to the hospital, so I can't stay on, but about probably 10 more minutes or so, because I've got to go talk to the doctor. She's in Florida, I'm in Arizona. So just kind of it's so interesting. The market seems to be, I don't know about Andrew could relate to this also, but when you have a celebrity, it's greases the wheels, I think, whether it's sports docs but still it shows how much hard work goes into it, and the labor of love. I mean, I'm fortunate to have a production deal, and it takes me 4 years. I mean, we're a small independent company. But I had a question for Michael or anybody else. I've been approached about doing a film on a really popular reggae band out of San Diego called Stick Figure.
Oh, I love them.
You know those guys?
I mean, I don't know. I'd like to know them.
Yeah. And, I looked at doing a music biopic on the Batiste family and in New Orleans. I got approached about that. And I've never done a music biopic before. And it ended up the John Batiste doc was in the works. The one, I think it's nominated this year, but yeah. So if you guys know of anybody, the brother of the band's leader reached out to me. He's a friend of my dad's, and so I looked around. Maureen Gosling worked with Les Blank, and She did This Ain't No Mouse music, and she's done a lot of. She's my editor. Was editor on a show called The Long Shadow. But my ask is, if you guys know of any production company, I can't tell you. I've got 2 movies out and 1 I'm shooting. If you guys know, or Michael, if you know of anybody that might be interested in doing stick figures, a show on those guys, they have, I think, like 2 million followers. So they've got in their label. I mean, they've got some potential sponsorship opportunities and, their label, et cetera, et cetera. I haven't really gotten into it. I'm just trying to find a production company that might be interested. So
yeah, Fly High Films is interested.
What?
I said Fly High Films is interested. We're interested. I love stick figure.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Well, do you want me to? Let me. I'm gonna. Let's see, Matt. Do they have?
On the right side of your StreamYard window, you have a private chat.
Okay, good. Well, I'm just gonna put it out for public.
Put it out there. It's not going to be in the video. The chat doesn't show.
Okay, good.
Definitely, if you want guys to exchange, you can use that.
All right, cool. And
so let's do that. In the meantime, Andrew, do you have another question?
What time is
it? Michael, do projects like this fall in your lap all the time? I mean, I know with your experience.
I had a really big opportunity, and I can't speak on it because there's legal stuff around this issue, but I had another, because of this project, somebody saw it, and a big not artist, not even an artist, a celebrity saw this, who's going through a lot of stuff right now. And they approached me about doing it, but for legal reasons, things stopped. But it would have been a bigger project than this. No, but I think the opportunities fall in my lap because I'm a believer, and I bring things I believe into the universe, and I just I don't accept that things not happening in my brain. So I just picture them happening. And for me, things have literally happened in my career and in my life exactly how I envisioned it. So whether I might not know the name of the person of a certain project that I want to work on, I know that things are going to happen. And I just think if people, that's my best advice to anyone, is just live that way in anything you do. Just believe in something and truly believe in your heart. And if you do that and you picture it, it will happen.
How would you say, did you feel something different after the documentary was released? After the 5 episodes got released, did you get some more phone calls? Did people in Nashville told you, hey, you're the guy for the documentary?
I had a lot. Yeah. Now thinking back, I had a lot of people reach out. I mean, I had a ton of people, managers, artists, friends, family, people from back home. It was really cool for that because people really gave me some really heartfelt stuff. And then I had people I have some rentals that I own and I manage. And one of them, I'd say, this is the house that, I edited my Luke Bryan documentary. If you want to watch it, because I'm a movie theater in one of my rentals, and I was like, if you want to watch my film, here it is. And half people oh my God, you made that? I'm like, yeah, that's my documentary. They're like, oh, I've seen it. And it's just some random stranger who's renting my house out,
That's how it works.
It was a sense of relief, just oh my God, it happened. I'm so proud of myself because this was the hardest uphill battle for 10 years.
It's a long,
and I believed in myself, and nobody knows how much I believe in myself and how much I made it a reality than myself. Because LeBron James always says, be true to the game and the game will be true to you. Meaning if you know that you put the most work into something, that the most you can. And if you short yourself, it. So don't short yourself. And I didn't short myself on this. I literally put everything I had into it and it worked out. So that's living proof that you don't have to be the best director, because I'm definitely nowhere near the top middle half of directors. I'm just a believer.
Frances, do you have a last question before you leave?
No, it's just been super nice to meet you folks. And I just want to echo what
I hope everything's good with your mom.
Michael said. It's thank you. It's all networking, I just came up cold on this stick figure thing, and and you happen to know the band, and so you absolutely believe in what you're saying. Just keep going. And to you also, good luck, Michael, and also Matt, to you. And this was well worthwhile logging on to meet you. So reach out to me if you want. It's francescauseyfilms.com. There's a hello at Frances Causey Films. It's in the chat. And yeah, let's stay in touch and help each other.
Cool.
Yeah.
And thanks for doing this, Matt.
Thank you, Frances.
Thanks,
Take
Ryan.
care, everybody.
So Andrew,
Yeah.
do you have another question?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So I'm still new in the career. I graduated from film school in June of 22. This project, Kings of Gorse Creek, was actually my thesis project for my degree. So I'm still new to this. I get some freelance work here and there. I guess one of the things that I'm running into with specifically with this macaw project, and that's the tribe that does the whale hunting out of Nia Bay, is getting access and people saying no to things. Working with tribes is a little more difficult, because it's tribal council and you've got to get their approval. So like, well, you had said you were kind of told no for 9 years, but you were still on that bus doing other work with, so to speak, the tribe, right? With Luke Bryan and the crew.
Yeah. Well, first off, the big rule of filming is ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go into a tribal property and I would probably ask for permission first, but I had to do my job with Luke, which was create a webisode, and then I was also directing music videos for him, and I'd be working on a video for another artist while I'm on the road, because the road is a long day. Your show's not till 9 o'clock at night, so you have all day to get your stuff done. So I would work on. I've done a few TV specials with Luke, making of the album, live concerts, things like that. So I would have, I stayed very busy, and that was tough, is I was on the road in his busiest point of his career, and I had to, on my days off, aside from everything else, that's why it took 9 years too, is because I didn't want to give anyone else the hand. I wanted to help me. I didn't want any creative opinion. It was my project that I wanted to do. And so it took a lot of time. People were like, let's hire an editor. I'm like, no, they're going to taint. They don't know Luke's family and Luke like I do. I don't want someone doing that until, so it was a big juggle. And, sometimes I'd ask Luke like, hey, this would be cool. Can you do this? And he'd be like, yeah, of course. But it wasn't like, all right, Saturday, we're going to go meet up and we're going to film for a documentary. Like, he'd be like, no, I'm going fishing with my kids,
Yeah. So you just went along fishing with the kids with a camera.
Just every time for you, I think don't give up on trying to get access. I think you're in a different situation. You have to go probably the right channels, but I think you can produce stuff that you can show people through an email. Like, hey, I'm working on a little project. Here's a segment of it. They can get a feel like you're legit. It looks great. They want to be a part of it. Use your what you have working for you to get you to those points. Cause that's what I had to do. Show people, get them excited.
Yeah.
Cause if you just email somebody and hey, I want to go film, they'd be like, no.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah. And I've made a couple of trips. I don't know if you guys know where Nia Bay is, but probably not. It's the most northwest point in the United States. You can't get more.
I love Washington State.
Yeah.
Luke fishes up there a lot, and it's my favorite place.
Oh, got to get Luke to Nia Bay then, man. There's big old halibut up there, salmon, everything.
Is it by Seattle?
Yeah, it's a 4-hour drive from Seattle, but yeah, it's up here.
He's hopped on planes and stuff to go fishing.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a small airport in the area, so yeah. But yeah, I guess you're right. I think it's being able to produce something to show them, and I've done sizzle reels and stuff like that, and I've made the trip up there a couple times, and I'm lucky enough to have a good relationship with a guy that runs his own video production company up there, and he's a Macaw member, so hopefully we get those, get that grease in there and get those wheels moving a little bit more. But I
think a way to kind of relate this was Luke's family. I didn't want to go into it with hey, I want to go make a documentary and tell your family's story. That's not how that was never my intent. That was never my, so it was tough for me because I wanted to earn their trust and I wanted to earn the respect and to them to believe in it and not just think, hey, this kid's trying to go make a film off of stuff that happened in our family, you know,
distort us. Yeah.
So for me, when I did interviews with his family, I was very close with them. It wasn't I just met them. So for you, I think, you're doing things for the right reasons and just, if it's something you believe in, it might not happen right away, but don't stop believing in it and just get in there and things will work out the way it's supposed to, and you'll get the access you need. And
That's good.
you know,
Yeah, because I know you guys touched on obviously some very sensitive topics in the interviews.
Yeah.
And whale hunting is a pretty sensitive topic.
Totally.
Too, so yeah.
I think you should make the greatest film. I mean, that's awesome. Like, I'm envious of you that you're going to do a project like that. Like, I can't wait till I got to pay the bills and I have a family. Like, I can't do a lot of those things. I'm not saying that's your scenario, but like, I can't wait to go.
I wish I didn't have bills either, man.
I know, but I'm saying like, I'm doing country music documentaries because that's the world I'm hired to work in. So that's what I'm doing right now. But like, for you to like do a documentary about something that's so impactful and so important and meaningful, like that's a story to tell. You need to marinate that and, you know, get it to where it's right and you know, really believe in it. And then one day, man, you could be the face of Netflix. People, you know what I mean? Like that could happen.
No, that's the story. The story is so good, you know. So
I believe in that. And no one. And here's the thing too. Like, don't just because you're just a guy in an office at your house. Like that's what I was. You know, doesn't mean anything. Like, believe in it. Literally envision it one day, and like you're gonna be your biggest believer. Be your biggest believer over anybody. Prove everybody wrong, man. Be like, you know, I told everybody about this documentary for 10 years thinking it was going to happen, like, making people believe in it. And people, you know, like I had to make people believe. And people might have gave up like, man, year 7, what's going on with this thing, you know? But I believe in myself the most, and that's what you have to do. So I think you should do the same, you know, and I'm sure you do.
I appreciate that. Yeah. It's still good insight though. It's still great to be reminded.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, very cool. Michael, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys.
It's already, it's inspiring and it's real. I mean, you started like we all did, a camera and just filming stuff, and you made it into 20 hours and then 5 hours and then a docuseries. Yeah. It's on Amazon and people can see it. Andrew, thank you so much for being here.
Anytime, Andrew, if you ever, you know.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. Have a very good rest of your day.
See you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.